subscribed to the channel and been watching the videos. I truly appreciate you. And if you're new here and you enjoy whispered ASMR, true crime, please consider subscribing to the channel. I am posting 2 times a week situation with her ex-husband. So Diana enlisted this man. He was a former Marine sniper. His name was Weldon McDaniel. Now, their relationship became more than just professional. Although he was married and did have a baby. Now, she told Weldon that her husband was very dangerous and she was afraid for herself and her son. And he was extremely sympathetic. So now we're up to the point of the crime. As I said, it was September 1st, 2016, and Greg, the ex-husband, got a phone call from an unknown what he said. He was jogging down that trail, the exact same trail, not so long ago, and he had to, I don't want to sound gross here. He had the call of nature, and he really had to go, and so he did. And then he wiped himself with a towel that he found laying around. And was it even real? Well, what is the difference anyway? Real or not real? Faint or don't faint? The verdict is in. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you do now. And anyway, they both got sentenced. Diana got 26 years to life, and Weldon got 50 years to life. Now, that, I think, is a huge miscarriage of justice. I understand that he was the one who pulled the trigger, but he wouldn't have done it if not for her paying him to do it and lying to him and telling him that her husband was dangerous. So why did he get 50 years and she got 26? I literally don't get it at all. I have no clue. It's not right. I've seen plenty of cases where the person who arranged the murder gets more time than the hired hitman. So I don't know why this happened. I really don't. So, I also saw a little video of Weldon speaking after the case. And he was asked if you could take back one thing that happened, what would it be? And he said he would take back ever having cheated on his wife because he loves his wife. And even though he said he only had sex with her one time, which may or may not be true, it doesn't really matter, right? But the interviewer said to him, "You mean, well, what about the shooting? Would you take that back?" And he said, "Well, you told me I can only take back one thing, so I would take back the cheating before I would take back the shooting." That seems really weird to me, except that at this point it really doesn't matter. It's not going to change his, future. If he were to say he would take back the shooting, it doesn't mean he's going to get out of jail, But by him saying that he would take back the cheating, maybe he would get his wife back on his side, That's all I could guess. So, anyway, what do you think about this situation? I mean, I am happy to say that the ex-husband lived. It's awful that he got shot in this hole much for